Hey guys, we are back. Had a little technical glitch there. We're going to be talking about online trolling, the trauma associated with online trolling. We've got a licensed psychologist joining us from New York, who's an expert in online trolling and the trauma that it creates. I'm going to pin the topic here. Online trolling. We wanted to do this live because I don't think people really appreciate what happens when you are defamed online, when you are attacked online, and the trauma that it creates, right? So we want to talk with a psychologist who deals with this issue, who's an expert, if you will, in what it feels like and how you deal with online trolls and the emotional toll that it takes. And hopefully we can answer some of your questions. And if you join us after this live, we will post it. We'll post it on YouTube Shorts. We'll post it on, of course, Instagram and some of our other social channels. But I think it's important to educate people and spread the message on why this is an issue and what we can do about it. And what's great is Dr. Nuccitelli is a practitioner. He's an educator, and he volunteers to help people who've been trolled by or harassed or canceled and deal with the psychological trauma associated with that. So we're excited to have him here in just a few minutes. If you know a little bit about what we do, we deal with a lot of online defamation, online trolling, cyber harassment, false campaigns, right? People trying to get other people canceled, and that's a pretty big deal, right? It's 2022, soon to be 2023, and this is a topic of conversation now that we're having with more and more people. And it's unfortunate that I don't think even lawyers, sometimes judges, or even the trollers themselves really understand what this does to people, right? What it feels like to have something false and defamatory published about you, spread, have people believe that it's true, and stay up there for so long. And the problem with online attacks and cyberbullying in particular is that it can go viral so quickly, right? It can go viral so quickly. And in the time that it takes to get these things taken down, the number of people, your close family, friends, your coworkers, people that have seen it, sometimes you can't undo the damage, right? So hopefully Doc is able to join. Pin this comment. But we're happy to take your questions. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, after our live, you can join us. Here we go.
Hello, sir. Can you see me?
Hey, Doc. We see your keyboard, so you
Oh, wait. Got to turn it around.
There you go.
Okay. sorry, I'm a novice.
Hey,
you
that's
think
okay.
I'd be good at...
That's totally all right. It's good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Doc, you are a licensed psychologist in the state of New York. You've got a doctorate degree in forensic psychology, right?
Well, do you want the 10-cent overview
Yeah,
tour?
why don't you give us an introduction? Why don't you give us an introduction?
Sure. My name is Dr. Michael Nuccitelli. I'm a New York State licensed psychologist. I'm a cyber psychologist, and then I also am I have my own group practice. We're called MN Psychological Services, PLLC. I have a group practice here in Brooklyn, in addition to a couple of other facilities where we provide psychotherapy to the chronically mentally ill. So by day, I have between 50 and 55 patients that I see on a weekly basis. Then after working on the weekends is when I do all my volunteer work, including what we're doing right now. I wrote a theory back in 2010, a concept called iPredator. And what iPredator is a dark side of cyberspace concept that includes 8 different types of online assailants. I think today maybe we're going to be talking a little bit about internet trolls, internet defamation, so forth and so on. So essentially, I wrote iPredator. I've got a huge website. Everything is free and public domain. And as I said, I have been volunteering since 2010, helping those that have been cyber attacked.
Got it. Excellent. Thank you for that. So today, I think we want to talk a little bit about, how to identify these personalities. Obviously, people know when they've been attacked, right? They know when they've been trolled, but also to gain a deeper understanding of what is it like to treat patients who have suffered from false accusations and getting trolled online, right? What is it like to hear their stories? How do you treat that? And how do we prevent it?
Rice, that's an excellent question. Well, first and foremost, if I may, if I can just give, your followers just a real quick overview of iPredator to know if they're iPredators or it's somebody that they're dealing with is an iPredator. It's very simple. It's very common sense. First and foremost is the use of information communication technology, use of information technology to harm someone. That's the first criteria. Second criteria is a self-awareness of causing harm using information technology. Now, with children who engage in cyberbullying, sometimes some of them think they're actually kidding around. Then you also have those that are psychiatric, really are not quite self-aware. But the vast majority of trolls, of iPredators, of whoever you want to define them, they are self-aware. They know the harm they're causing each other. So it's the use of information technology, a self-awareness of causing harm using information technology, and then number three is what I call cyber stealth. And what cyber stealth is one, it can either be online deception or it's locating, tracking, and creating data, collecting data about your potential target. So if you or somebody you're concerned about meets those criteria, they are an iPredator. So that is the iPredator concept in a nutshell.
Got it. Excellent. Excellent. Now, what do we do with people who have suffered, right? So let's take a fact pattern. This is a common fact pattern that I see in my practice, which is somebody comes to me, we do a consultation, they describe that, look, they had an encounter with somebody, things didn't go well, and now they're being accused falsely of, let's say, sexual assault. And usually the way this happens is it's not the person who had the encounter with my client who's starting it. It's a third person who wants to be the savior, the hubris personality, right? Who says, I know everything, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And they take a story that they think may or may not even be true. Sometimes they know it's false, and they do it for like the high that they get. And they go online. They use their clout, they use their connections to then spread the story and bring the light on themselves. Does that sound familiar to you?
Sounds very familiar. So it actually sounds like you've been in my head doing all these volunteer calls. Great call. So Reese, as I said, since 2010, I have volunteered after work and on the weekends. I'd have to assume maybe a couple of hundred folks, online users I've spoken to. It's done all telephonically. I don't do my volunteer work via email because I think it's not only is it insensitive, but you're putting sensitive material via email, so forth and so on. So I do it all on the phone. But the vast majority of online users who've called me over the years, almost 90% of them, I don't keep statistics or any data, I only speak to them once. The vast majority of them have already been told by their loved ones to either turn it off, they're crazy, they're being melodramatic, move on. They've also been, not all, some have been to the courts, some have been to law enforcement. So essentially, the vast majority of the folks that I'm dealing with, they are engaged, they are experiencing not just victimization and being targeted, but they're dealing with victim shaming, also called victim blaming, because essentially nobody believes them.
And what is the sort of profile that you deal with then in terms of a diagnosis and treatment? I mean, how injured are these people?
Well, some of them, again, just like all psychiatry, those that are calling me, Race, I'm not doing, again, this is all volunteer work. So if you were to call me, let's say you're getting trolled and you were to call me, I would spend anywhere from 10 minutes to the longest I think I've spent on the phone with somebody is 3 hours, okay? I don't counsel them. I don't diagnose them. That's what I do in my day job, where I'm dealing with schizophrenia, schizoaffective, axis 1, dementia, so forth and so on. Essentially, when you're dealing with the dark side of cyberspace and you're dealing with online victims, as I said, I'm not diagnosing them, but what I can tell you, I can't say that they're PTSD. I can't say that they're having panic attacks and anxiety attacks while they're with me, but certainly on the phone, the vast majority, or how can I say this, and I know it's not psychological, they're at the end of the rope. You know, they don't know where else to turn. They feel defeated, they feel discouraged, and also they feel ashamed.
So if somebody comes to you in our hypothetical, you know, hey, I had this date, it didn't go well, but now this third party, perhaps the date's friend, is taking it upon herself to use her social media clout, right? Some of these people have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram,
right,
YouTube. The idea that this false narrative is out there and that our client or your patient can't get anyone to believe them, and that it's now spreading and it's having real life implications. That can create
first and foremost, yes, it creates a large problem. First and foremost, you never want to have a third party speaking on your behalf. Yes, it's good to have support from loved ones, from friends and family who support what you're dealing with if you're the victim. But to have someone act as an advocate that goes out and speaks on your behalf, that's not a good idea. There are times when I'm dealing with people and they have been trolled, they have been defamed, slandered, so forth and so on, I will tell them is, you know, speak to your family, and you may want to contact an attorney, such as, again, I'll have to start making reference to you. Here in Brooklyn, we have a wonderful practice, but really, Rais, I mean, I'm sure you're not paying me a marketing check to say this. In this country, and what's amazing is we live in the information age. Goodness gracious, what, 1970s is when the information started, late 70s, and here we are 40 plus years in, and people are being defamed, they're being slandered, character assassination. Right, and I'm sure you've heard this. I have volunteered and I have helped people that have actually lost their jobs because of the nonsense going online. There was one young man who I helped several years back, not to give specifics because it's all confidential, that actually lost admission to a college because the college had did a Google search, which they're not supposed to do, did a Google search, did not admit him, and in the exchange, they foolishly admitted that they did a Google search. Ah. So unfortunately, we are here in 2022, and our country, and I know of other countries that are not doing it as well, are not addressing this as a serious issue.
And it's unfortunate because, like you said, in my practice, I deal with people who have been, yeah, exactly like you said, they've been kicked out or suspended from their university over something that was false, arrested. Now there's sometimes a criminal record. These people, yes, right? They don't feel like they have an outlet, and they become suicidal.
Yes. Well, I haven't, by the grace of God, I haven't dealt with anybody suicidal yet. I've been doing this for 10 years now. But yes, I mean, cyberbullying of the and it's pretty much generalized amongst the industry of online theft. Cyberbullying is a child-on-child pediatric phenomenon. So, and not that I'm caught up when somebody says I've been cyberbullied, but cyberbullying only applies to children. It is child-on-child cyber attack. Here we are in the information race, and we are the first generation since the beginning of human civilization that has to deal with the term cyberbullycide. And cyberbullycide is a child that takes his or her life because he or she is being cyber attacked online. Now, oftentimes they're being bullied at school or bullied somewhere in, you know, their community, but then they come home and then they are cyberbullied. So essentially, children of the information age, when they are attacked, they're bullied offline, but online, it can occur 24/7, 365. And now we have this phenomena, this unfortunate phenomena called cyberbullying.
I always tell my clients or their parents, if they're minors, right, that the age of being pushed around on the playground has now developed. It's gone nuclear. You're pushed around on the online playground 24/7.
Exactly. Exactly. And the big thing, you know, I was bullied when I was a kid. It wasn't until I got to be big and strong and 6 foot tall. But today's children, and again, it's a double-edged sword, you don't have to have physical attributes to cyberbully another child. I mean, so in a pre-information age world, in order to bully, you had to have physical attributes. You had to be a big kid. Well, today, that doesn't have to occur at all. You could be a pipsqueak and you could be the meanest cyberbully in school.
You know, it's really interesting what you just said, because one of the personality traits I feel, and I'm not a psychologist, but one of the personality traits that I feel I see in a lot of these, in the defamers and the harassers, is they are keyboard warriors. They're unsuspecting sometimes in person, right? But they love to sit behind a keyboard and just throw shit at the fan, so to speak, and see who's going to catch on to it and give them attention.
Exactly. Well, the biggest thing, I call it the veil of anonymity. It's part of my concept of Predator. Whether you want to call it the veil of anonymity, the veil of anonymity is that I can hide behind a device, whether it's my mobile device, whether it's a desktop, whether it's a laptop. I can hide behind a device, and guess what? There's no accountability. Not only can I hide behind a device, if I so desire, I can create a whole different profile to where you think you're talking to somebody. In reality, you're not talking to the person you think you're talking to. So we are now dealing with a whole different phenomena here in the information age. Cyberspace. What is the definition of cyberspace? An abstract, artificial, digital universe. It's not real, right? But yet we as humans, and I can't, you know, it's happening. We are beginning, if it's not already happening now, we begin to equate it as a real environment. One of the crazy things I say, Ray, is cyberspace is an extension of human consciousness. Now, I say that as a metaphor, but I tell you, Ray, the people that are calling me, that are in need, that are asking for my help, they are at wit's end. And they don't know what to do. And what they fail to understand, that everything that's going on online is an artificial environment. Not to get into the details, Race, I have volunteered helping online users who have literally told me that they are in love with a person they have never met offline.
You know, it's interesting because my mind goes to, a lot of people use social media to gain affirmations that they don't get in real relationships or in real life, right? So that's why you have people on TikTok posting their bodies, right? You know, doing intimate discussions, or Instagram in front of the fancy cars and the big houses, because they're searching for affirmations. And that's blood in the water for the online sharks, right?
You're not kidding. That's what they look for. It's called the eye. Again, not to go into all my stuff, we could probably talk about this for an hour. I call it the IVI, eye predator victim intuition. Eye predators, not all, but the good ones, they can go online and they can tell who is somebody who is trying to, you know, show off, who is discouraged, who is angry. They know who would be a good mark, somebody to target based on what they're saying. But here we are in the information age, and you bring it up, and you said it right. My doctorate degree is from Adler University. Go Adler University. It's been years. But Alfred Adler, God bless him, what he believed is that we come into this world and we go out of this world looking to be validated, looking to be accepted, and looking to be part of. Alfred Adler recognized, which we can all say, even if you're Darwinian, you believe in evolution, we are social creatures. We are social pack animals. So for us, everything is about being in the pack, being in the herd. So when we're teenagers, it's all about being accepted by peers. But it seems as we age, for some adults, not all, those that tend to be immature, have some emotional developmental issues, It's all about the light. It's all about the, ooh, you're looking good. It's all about showing what you have.
And that is where, I mean, it's just like in the flesh bullying. They sense the fear. They can feel a good bully. I hate to say it that way, right? But a good bully knows the weaknesses. It's like they have a radar for weaknesses, right?
Yes, and I call that the eye predator. I mean, yes, the eye predator victim intuition. Now, what walks hand in hand to that, and this is the true cyber psychology of my concept, I call it odor. Offline distress dictates online response. And essentially what that means, Rais, is that whatever's going on in my offline world, my psychological functioning, how I'm feeling, whether I'm stressed, whether I'm angry, whether I have financial issues, whether I got in an argument with my brother, whether I'm having problems with my job, I believe that when we go online, we bring with us that psychology. Now, when we go online, whether we're dealing with Instagram or Facebook or online forums or our own face, whatever it may be, I believe that that aspect, that psychology, our subjective processing, which is always with us anyway, it directly affects how we interpret what we do online. Now, real quickly, information, there are only 3 ways that we can manipulate information. We can compile information, we can disseminate information, and we can exchange information. Now, if you subscribe to my silly concept of odor, offline distress dictates online response, if you're pissed off and you come online, I believe that you are going to exchange information and you are going to behave in a different manner because you're angry, because you're depressed. And particularly for online child predators, they look for discouraged children. So the psychology offline has direct impact what happens online.
You know, let's talk for a second about, we talked a little bit about the personality and sort of profile of the victim. Let's shift gears and talk about the troll. I mean, these people have some serious personality issues. Am I right?
Yeah, no, I had tagged you in a couple of troll. I put out these my cheesy educational images.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, schools and university and actually different organizations use them. Everything I've created is public domain and free. But when it comes to internet troll, these are the parasites, okay? The classic internet troll, which they still exist, but they were at the beginning of social media. They're still around now. The classic internet troll is an online user, tends to be male, and what they do, they're looking to provoke, to inflame, and to essentially piss you off online. And if they can achieve that, they feel good about themselves. They give themselves the proverbial pat on the back, the ego stroke. That is the classic internet troll. But what we have, which I believe, is I call the predatory troll, which has, over the last 5 to 7 years, now they seem to be everywhere, like an infestation of roaches. The predatory troll not only tries to provoke you, he goes after you, he goes after your followers on Instagram, he goes after your loved ones, he goes after your job. He, and oftentimes he'll include others, will go after every aspect of your life offline. What? To totally destroy your reputation, your integrity, your trust. Successful, they will try to get you fired. They will try to get you expelled from school, and on and on and on. Their sole mission for the predatory troll is to totally destroy your reputation and to have you, impact your life.
What is the personality trait? What do we call that from the psychologist standpoint? That unrelenting, unforgiving, obsessive, compulsive. What do you call that?
Well, hey, this is not me. This is the University of Manitoba, and I say it all the time, Rais, when I do internet radio. I want to piss off the trolls. University of Manitoba back in 2014 did a huge study on internet trolls. And what they found is also called the dark tetrad, is that they found that internet trolls were at much higher rates of being narcissistic, Machiavellian, sadistic, and psychopathic. I'll say that one more time: psychopathic, sadistic, Machiavellian, and narcissistic. These 4 traits make up the dark tetrad. Machiavellian, those of you that are a little bit, that means the ends justify the means. That a troll believes in his head that it's justified while targeting you. Sadistic, they enjoy the harm that they're causing you. Most people seem to think that sadistic just applies to, you know, sexual deviance, but in reality, sadistic is solely defined as feeling good about the harm you cause others. Narcissistic, it's all about me. By harming you, by trolling you, by causing you to lose your job, I feel good about myself because I am the center of my universe. And the last one, psychopathic. Now, some are psychopath, but the vast majority are psychopathic. Psychopathic is they feel no remorse, they feel no shame, and they feel no guilt at all for what they're doing to you. The dark tetrad. These are today's internet trolls.
You know, it's really, really interesting because the dark triad has deep meaning to me. And the narcissistic, the Machiavellianism is super interesting because it's exactly right. When I have clients that are, I represent a lot of influencers, people with a huge following, they have their own brand or they're promoting a brand. And those people, I tell all of them, you need to be prepared for the shitstorm. You just need to be ready for it. It's going to happen. You're going to make yourself a target. There's people that are going to hate your success. And so as a consequence of their popularity, there are people who dig to find things in their history to bring to surface, right? And it's not that, hey, this person genuinely did something really bad today that people need to know about. That's different. It's usually something happened, maybe, and you know what? I'm going to use that as a hook, and I want to use this as my platform to now warn people. I'm the whistleblower, as you've said in some of your content. I'm a whistleblower. This exact word has been used by so many trolls in my cases. Hey, I'm a whistleblower. I'm just bringing to light that this guy or girl is a criminal or a rapist or a pedophile or, come on, you're shooting me down? Like, aside from all the free speech garbage that they allege, it's
oftentimes, right, that is spot on. Thank you. I give you a big Italian hug right now. I actually have an image, an educational image on that. And that predatory trolls, internet trolls, however you want to call them, trolls, let's say, oftentimes will say they were a whistleblower. They're an activist. They obviously, they come up with bullshit reasons for why they're targeting. If you're using technology, to harm, and you've got bullshit reasons why you're attacking somebody, you are an predator, and it's wrong.
And that's exactly the ends justifying the means, Machiavellianism, right? That you mentioned. What are your thoughts on? I always tell my clients, hey, when you are in the fight, sometimes clients come to me and they're already knee deep in a dispute, and the troll's going hard on them. They're contacting their followers. They're messaging family, friends, doing videos. I sometimes tell my client, pause, don't respond yet. Don't engage them. Is that, from a psychology standpoint, smart?
That is the old adage for online safety is, I'm sure you've heard this, don't feed the trolls. Don't feed the trolls works, but, okay, and this is the big but, and this is when I realized, that's when I wrote the concept. It's nothing, came up with the idea of predatory trolls. For the classic internet troll, okay, the one that's just looking to piss you off, all right, that seems to work. But the predatory troll, there's an obsessive compulsive quality to the predatory troll, because now, remember, the internet troll, okay, they're just online looking to upset and to provoke somebody. They're looking to engage in flaming. The predatory troll, whether you want to say they're obsessive compulsive or not, or have some kind of psychological, oftentimes their acts as 2 personality disorder, but they are now, if they're not spending money right, they're taking time, effort, and spending an enormous amount of energy to character assassinate their victim.
Yeah.
When you think about the amount of time, energy, effort, and sometimes money, you think to yourself, Jesus Christ, why don't you put the device down and go outside? So they're obviously, you know, their self-esteem, their ego, everything about them is now engaged. So when you're saying you're dealing with, you know, whether it be celebrity, public figures, so forth and so on, well, goodness gracious, they are great targets. Why? Because if the eye predator succeeds, they feel good about themselves. Then they can go brag to their friends, those friends that know, and it's all a pseudo stroke to the false ego. It's ridiculous, and I say it all the time, it's pathetic, but this is what's happening.
Dr. Nuccitelli, I mean, we're going to have to make this part one of a series because it's such a, we're just scratching the surface, and maybe we'll use some real life examples later on. But give us your website again. It's ipredator.co.
Well, .co, .net, or .org. I have those 3 domains. All of them go to the same website, and just for anybody who sees, everything I've created is free. It's public domain, and any of the tests, whether you want to do the digital reputation checklist, the cyber stuff, all of the assessments are free to print out. You don't even have to give an email, Addy, in order to download my stuff, because to me that's anti-online safety.
So a little soundbite right before we conclude. Yes or no, the trauma and the impact from online harassment is real?
Oh my goodness, thank you. It is most certainly real, because the biggest thing that happens, Reyes, and this is not 100%, but I would say 8 out of 10 of the online users who call me, they say to me, and I've said this earlier, that their loved ones tell them they're being melodramatic, to get over it, just block them, move on, and it's not a big deal. The stress, the anxiety, and the trauma is real. It may not cause immediate post-traumatic stress disorder, but it's definitely traumatizing. And the worst thing that anyone can do is to victim shame and victim blame. They're synonymous, is to basically minimize the experience of the victim, because it's real.
Love it. Dr. Nuccitelli, this was great, man. I really appreciate you joining us for a New York Minute, and let's do this again soon.
All right, thank you.
Take care, Doc. Bye-bye.
Thank you.